relationships, trauma, philosophy, relationships, trauma, philosophy.
With the countries that you visited, I know it's been extensive, and I don't want to ask the question of, oh, which is your favorite country? Because we get asked that a lot, and it's so difficult to answer. And I also think it's quite dependent on what that person likes as well, maybe a best country for them. So I want to ask it in a different way. Out of all the countries you visited, which would you say most aligns with your values and personality and almost feels like a natural second home to you?
Yes, I love this question and I agree with you. I mean, I have people all the time, they're like, where should I go? And I actually hate that question because I'm not them and I'm not built like them. So I think it's a dumb question. However, I love the other parts of this where you've totally hit the nail on the head, where you go places and you feel suddenly like you belong, it's home. And sometimes there's no explanation for that. So for me, the places are where you are. So Mexico, Central America was big for me, South America as well, but I would say more Mexico and Central America. There's something for me when I land in that part of the world that instantly makes sense. And I don't speak Spanish that well. I should speak it much better for all the places I've been, but I don't. I can get by, but I speak beer Spanish. But even like you can land in an airport and even like just going into the airport, you feel like this feels right, this feels good. So that part of the world certainly makes sense to me. I'm a late bloomer to Europe. I think I'm in my 50s now, and Europe actually feels really like easy compared to some of the other stuff that I've done. So it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. So there are parts of Europe where I feel like that as well. But I think the reverse is also really interesting. Like I wrote this book about Southeast Asia, and while I really enjoyed it and it was very beautiful and it's all that everything says, I never felt that same sense of belonging or that this was my second home. I did not ever for 1 second feel that. And I think that that's a really interesting question. And I love talking to people about that who move around the world and travel because we're all so different. And like, why do some of us feel this and some of us don't? And what is it about this place? And it's so fascinating that as to why you can land somewhere and it just makes complete sense to you. I love that question. So yeah, Central America, Europe, and parts of Canada I really love as well.
That's lovely. We haven't yet managed to get to Canada, but it's on our list for later this year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Is there you mentioned having a more difficult time in China. Is there a country that you feel like pushed you to your limits? Would that be the most difficult travel experience that you had?
Yeah, certainly. And to be fair, I had been on the road for 4 months. That was my fourth month. And the pace that we were on was like every 2 days, we were pretty much on the move. I would say there was only a few times where we stayed anywhere longer than 3 or 4 nights. So that was rare. So I was very, very tired by that point. Hadn't really experienced slow travel at that point. It wasn't really a thing. And China was challenging in terms of communication. I mean, in the cities, Beijing and Shanghai, it's fine. But I was also in some very, very rural areas where that was not even an option to speak any English. And yeah, it was just very different, and um, it was very crowded and very hot. And I was on a lot of trains and buses and traveling like with real local style, situations. So yeah, I would say that was the only country really that I was like, I'd rather be at a resort right now.
It sounds quite intense. We haven't really done any of that sort of fast paced travel. We tend to choose to have at the very least 2 weeks, but usually a month, don't
Yeah.
we?
We
In
call
one place.
we call ourselves slow mads.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm slowly also getting into that, but that was just not not the scene for me for many, many, many years, but I dig it too. I spent 5 weeks in Quebec City, and that was like one of the best things I've ever done.
And is there, of all the places that you've been, did you feel like any helped you learn something about yourself or like overcome any personal goals or challenges?
Mm, I don't think it's, I mean, some countries can challenge you just on like, for obvious reasons, every country is different in terms of how the people communicate or what their underlying rules are of certain places. But I don't find it's the countries, it's the people that always teach me the things that I need to be open to. So it could be, locals, or even you travel, you meet people sometimes just for even 10 minutes that like leave an impact on you, or it's the people you end up traveling with for days or weeks or however long you're with them. So I think it's always, for me, it's always, always, always about the people. I think you can be attached to geography and ways of living. I mean, whenever I come home from Europe, I think, wow, they really know what they're doing here. And like, I was in Croatia and Italy and France. I mean, it's very different than how North Americans live. And that I do feel like you have to pay attention to. Just, I feel North Americans are very type A, and we're chasing the wrong things and we're climbing the ladders. And whenever I'm in other places, I do really, really relish in that kind of lifestyle where they're not eating dinner in 10 minutes, and like dinner is an actual event and they take time, and the food is like tastes way better, and all of those things I think can teach you something. But yeah, I think it's usually the people that come across your path and trigger you and challenge you, and you have to, I think the thing about traveling is that you drop all your judgments and biases, and you're kind of open to everyone and anyone that comes your way. And I think we realize that in real life we're not always as open as we are traveling, and I think that's also a huge lesson on every trip that you go on.
Absolutely. And that's on our podcast. We, after every place we've been, we say our favorite, least favorite, or where we've been. And it's so hard to not say the people as our favorite thing every time. We're like, it's a boring answer. It's always the people that stand out in each place.
Totally. And it's even, like in countries where there's maybe a lower socioeconomic status, I think we all learn from that those communities are the happiest. They're the people that are living together and helping each other, and there's a strong sense of community, and they don't really care about the latest fashions and gadgets and who got a promotion. It's not even relevant. And they seem much happier and kinder than the rest of the world, to be honest, or in North America, certainly. So I think that's always a reminder that sometimes less is more. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn about how we feel about places and how other cultures are living. It's quite fascinating.